G'day, listeners. Welcome to the round 4 Lace Out review. That didn't go to plan, but it doesn't matter because you're here with Chris Pepper, the 377-game superstar of the East Killer Football Club and the Superman himself, the co-host with the most. You know him as the J-Dog. It's Jamie Wallis, and we're here to discuss another cracking round of AFL football. Big fella, what a weekend. Plenty to get stuck into, but more importantly, how are you tracking after 4 rounds of misery?
4 rounds of misery, Pep. See, you're one of those people who look at it and think, I'm upset. I'm not upset, Peps. This is going to the plan of what we're doing. We're lulling everyone into a false sense of security, but we're going to turn it around. As Kenny said, there's one team who's made it to the finals after the first 4 losses of the season. Why can't there be 2? This is our year, Peps.
Well, you know what? We'll talk about that a little bit more, J-Dog. I don't know if it's going to be your year, but this is your hour. This is the hour of power with the 2 greatest podcast hosts this side of the Westgate Bridge here in Melbourne, Victoria. Plenty to get through. We're going to be going around the grounds again.
Yep.
And big contract news during the week that we have to share, so we're going to be splashing a little bit of cash. We're going to get into the ladder in just a moment. We've got the question of the week, one of our biggest ever, and some of the responses were absolute corkers. I have a brand new competition to announce tonight for everybody listening to this, so stay tuned as we roll through the episode. But most importantly, football is in a great spot this week. Plenty of massive news, especially today, and we'll get into the whole Gillian McLaughlin announcement. But Jay, I couldn't get that out. But I tell you what, if you look at footy compared to what it was probably a couple of years ago with everything related to COVID and everything along those lines, and it's just sucked the life out of it.
Yeah.
I reckon footy's back, and we had to have a weekend like we did, especially on the Saturday, Sunday games, that just rejuvenated our love for the great game because, like Gil says, any team, any day, and it happened on the weekend as well too. So we'll have a chat about some of those results. We're going to be dragging someone. We're going to be giving the votes. Everything is going to be happening. But we know when we start this thing off, the first thing that we always do is welcome our beautiful Lace Out community. Our Lace Outlaws there, joining us live on the Facebook stream, tuning in on your favourite podcast host. Thank you once again, because we do this because we love you and we all love footy. And we give it to you Lace Out because that's how you want your footy. All right. Big man, let's have a look at the AFL ladder for round 4.
Oof.
And if you told me this was going to be the ladder even 2 weeks ago, you would have told me, Peps, you're dreaming. Let's go through it. For something different, Melbourne is sitting atop of the ladder, still haven't lost a game. That's 11 games straight that Jake Bowie has not played in a loss. They're sitting on 16 points and 140.7. Then we've got a nice little squeezing conglomerate of teams sitting on 12 points. The Brisbane Lions finding a bit of form. The Fremantle Dockers, the Shockers who they were quite a while ago, are starting to bring back. And J-Dog, can you believe this team? Shit Kilda, that's been put away because what they've been serving up over the last couple of weeks has been sensational. So St Kilda sitting in a top 4 position.
If you told me that Freo and St Kilda were going to find themselves in the top 4
Yep.
by the end of round 4, you and I had these at the bottom.
A marathon goes for 42 kilometres, Jamie, not 3.5.
Hey,
so
look.
let's just... But hey, it's great for them. The
It
St
is
Kilda
good.
supporters are up. Fremantle supporters are up. Geelong Cats, I would say all their supporters are up, but they go to bed at 4 o'clock in their old age facilities. Sydney Swans are sitting on 12. And Carlton, they did lose on the weekend, so it was a tremendous 3-game streak for the Blues. It was almost a dynasty. And so they lost on the weekend. Just shame. I've noticed that Facebook has subsided. Thank God Lygon Street would have rioted, but Ferrari winning on the weekend sort of rounded that off. You pay Peter to take Paul. And Collingwood sitting in there at 8th position, but only on percentage. The Gold Coast Suns, my God, I'm getting excited by them, mate. They are playing good footy, but once again, it is early on in the season. Richmond bounced back. Hawthorn bounced back. Will Day, he even bounced off Paddy Ryder, and that's something else that we're going to have a chat about a little bit later on. Adelaide Crows.
Loss.
Oh, that was stiff, that one. The GWS Giants, lost. Western Bulldogs, lost. Wet toast, my goodness. The Waffle team beating Collingwood. No one saw that coming.
No.
Not even the West Coast people, I reckon. Essendon on 4. Congratulations getting your first win of the year. North Melbourne, gee, they gave Sydney a shot.
And that's it for the segment. That's it for the
That's
segment.
it
I'm
for the
pretty sure.
segment. And for everybody else who don't barrack for Port Adelaide, put your fingers in your ears because you're last on 69%. At least 69 comes out of it. It's dinner for two. At least something's good come out of the ladder. J-Dog, what do you reckon
Yes.
so far? What's getting you excited? What's getting you? I didn't see this at all. I didn't see these guys going as well, as bad. Tell me about it.
Okay, so not gonna lie, you and I laughed last year when old Mr. Voss took over the Carlton job. I remember just
Oh, yeah, we did.
laughing at it. Just
We did.
laughing. Didn't see that.
Yep.
Didn't see Collingwood. Didn't see St Kilda. Didn't see Freo. Geelong, Brisbane. I mean, Geelong are going to be a form team. Brisbane, we knew were the form team. Melbourne are literally just taking the absolute P155 at the moment.
Yeah.
But the rest I kind of saw. It's just those teams. I didn't see Western Bulldogs at the moment with one win out of the 4. But yeah, Carlton, Collingwood, St Kilda, and Freo. Just I did not see it.
You know, it's
Unreal.
interesting. You know, it's interesting, J-Dog. I ripped out my 2021 footy magazine with the running of Bulls with Petrarca, Gorn, and Oliver on the front.
Oh yeah.
I thought, you know what I might do? 4 rounds in, I tend to do this every year. Is I tend to flick over to what the predictors said. Who's going to be premiers and who's going to be the risers and the sliders and that sort of stuff.
Please don't. Please don't.
No. And it's actually quite funny because I reckon half of them picked the Western Bulldogs to be premiers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them did pick Carlton. The interesting one here is Mick Malthouse. I know he picked Essendon to win the flag.
God, what's Mick got to say?
Don't worry about what Mick had to say. But the one thing that he picked up, which I thought was actually wasn't bad there, Mick. He didn't pick Port Adelaide to finish in the 8.
Oh, what a legend!
So maybe he knew what was going on.
Maybe he knew. Maybe he did know.
Because I think he's the only one who didn't. What's going on with your mob, mate?
Oh,
Are they playing for Ken? Are they playing for themselves? Because it is a story point. Like, you kicked one goal. You didn't even kick a goal up to half time, J-Dog. I didn't even ring him. I didn't even put out a public service announcement on Friday morning to make sure if anybody sees Jamie, report us in because we were concerned for your welfare. That's how bad we were feeling.
I was okay, Pep. So let me just lay the scene for you. It was our 5th year wedding anniversary, Alira and I.
Yeah.
So that was on Thursday. So I was sitting back there watching the game, kind of excited, had this feeling of about a 15-point win that we might have come from the clouds. I don't know. Delusional now looking back, 2020. But I already had quite a few mojitos going. I had an espresso martini, a few beers already cracked open. I was sitting there back and I was going, well, do you know what? If we can't do anything good with the ball, let's see how bad we actually can play. So when we didn't kick a goal in the first quarter, I'm like, that's typical Ken Hinkley football, used to this. First half, and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is getting spicy. And then the third quarter, I'm thinking we're going to go completely goalless right until maybe the whole game. Maybe the whole game.
It was putrid. And then
Dan Houston ruined it.
Oh, wouldn't it have been good if you just got the 3-quarter time? Hey, it's okay to go goalless in a game. It takes a special team to do it in a prelim.
Oh dear, yeah. So anyway, Peps, what's going on? Okay, so there's a couple of things. Obviously, we've got key people out. I'm not going to lie about that, but you can't use that for any excuse. We have a forward line that is non-competitive. We have young kids who have gone backwards, and we seem to have a game plan that doesn't support the modern AFL game. We try and do possession football, and we don't have the skill. Melbourne just crushed us. I mean, Melbourne are a good team. If Stephen May was wearing a Port Adelaide jumper, I would say we're the most accurate kick in the AFL. I think we hit him, on the tit about 13 times.
Everybody hits Lever and May on the tit every week.
It was amazing. So I couldn't even get angry anymore because we had Sam May, who's probably about my size and my weight, as a key forward. Like, what the?
Yeah, that was stupid. And you've got Marshall kicks 5 the week before, but you don't use him as your main target.
Yeah. Connor Rosie's gone backwards. He literally can feel the breath of someone on him and he falls over.
Yep.
Or he panics in handballs or kicks in a panic and just does his hospital handballs to people. Like it's systematically falling over. And that's what happens in teams they get in this rut. They literally it just gets from worse to worse to worse. Are we going to sack Ken? I don't know. We're not going to do it in the first.
Point. I don't think it's
not in the first 5 weeks.
It's your playing group. It's as simple as that. It's not always the coach.
So
players have responsibility for this.
At some point, but 10 years is a while without a premiership. No other coach has been there. We're about to break that.
Oh man, I love it. I know everybody was wanting to find out what was going on, whether you were going Hulk mode tonight, whether you would turn green, turn red. I wouldn't worry about it. Look, listen, your team, they're going through a rough patch. Unfortunately, I think the premiership window is closed now, and you're just going to have to rebuild.
Yeah. If we sign Kendall on the contract, I'll go Hulk mode on the show.
Oh, you've got him for another year.
I'll probably turn my video on, and I won't even be the podcast with you.
Okay. So now I'll be looking for a new co-host next year. Looks like. Audio J-Dog. It's time to get into some of the around the grounds. You are the newsbreaker. Today was a massive announcement. You haven't heard? Gillum McLaughlin has pulled up stumps who will be finishing off at the end of the year. I'm not going to go into it because that's not my role. We know who the role for our newsman is. We're going around the grounds with Jeremy, the J-Dog Wallis. Over to you, great man.
Yeah, what a surprise. So Gillum McLaughlin has confirmed that 2022 will be his last year in the job, revealing today that he will step down as the AFL Chief Executive at season's end. So the 18 AFL clubs and AFL staff were informed on Tuesday morning of his decision to end his 22-year association with the league, which will include 9 seasons as the Chief Executive after replacing Andrew Demetra in 2014, which you have very strong opinions about, Peps. The 49-year-old will leave a significant legacy, highlighting the introduction of the AFLW in 2017, fast-tracking it to be an 18-team competition by the end of 2022, and navigating 2 COVID-interrupted seasons in 2020 and 2021. Goyder said that the footy world would never forget the images of McLaughlin apologising to fans stuck outside Icon Park in the inaugural AFLW game in 2017. And he labelled the crowd of 53,000 for the 2019 Blues Crows AFLW Grand Final as one of his best moments in AFL footy. He's also overseen the purchase of Marvel Stadium in 2016. Which has significantly helped the AFL financially, and when the 2022 season was paused due to COVID-19 as well. So he has done a lot of good for the game. There's no mention of AFL X, which I was devastated about because I should really promote that. That was amazing.
Two-time winner, Fritchie.
But there's lots going on. We're already talking about potential people to take over.
Who have they mentioned so far, J-Dog?
Yeah, so far we've got Brendan Gale has always been the next in line that most people have thought of, with Gerard Whateley saying this morning that there's no one more qualified in clubland to be the next AFL CEO. So he's one. We've got Travis Auld as well. So he is the AFL's executive general manager of finance, clubs and broadcasting. Christine Holgate, who is the former Australia Post executive, could potentially take as part of it as well. She's now the boss of Toll Logistics, so she's another potential. You got Andrew Dillon. He was the AFL legal boss turned executive general manager of football. Kylie Rogers, another one there. She's has been at Channel 10. She's also part of the AFL Group executive as a general manager of customer and commercial. You've got Kylie Watson-Wheeler. She's a lifelong Bulldog supporter and has also became the second female club president of the AFL after Richmond's Peggy O'Neill. So she's down at the Western Bulldogs. You've got Jane. Oh, sorry, I can't pronounce his last name. Jane Herdlickler.
Just call her Bunzy.
AFL CEO in 2021. So yeah, she's also another potential as well. So there's about 7 in line there. But most people sort of tipping it's probably between Brendan Gale and Travis Auld as sort of the 2 front runners for that role at the moment. Any questions?
Well, it's not questions-wise, J-Dog. Look, I think he's done a fantastic job in the last number of years,
Mm-hmm.
especially everything that's been going on, mate. At least he was able to take the piss out of himself and go down as Meatloaf.
That's true.
Slide. So there's a man who knows what it is.
Oh, I should also say two
Yep.
Twilight Grand Finals as well. He's been
Yep.
prepared to take it on.
Yep. Now, my problem though, J-Dog, is this.
Mm-hmm.
We know the AFL is a boys' club.
Absolutely.
And my issue is that getting someone like a Travis Auld to come in, who's been part of the boys' club, is it going to make much of a difference to the way it is? Is it just going to be the machine that just keeps on ticking on? And look, we've all worked for CEOs and we've all worked for businesses, and the listeners out there and the viewers right now will have worked for people who are part of the establishment, and when they take those, nothing changes. You need to get a fresh set of eyes, some fresh ideas into the place as well too. And I feel that if they hire internally, which sounds like what they're going to do, not from Clubland or not from an external source, it's just going to be the machine that just keeps on ticking on, and nothing is really going to change. Nothing is going to shake up the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Demetrio is in-house. McLaughlin is in-house. Yep. Do we need another in-house? That just means it's the same thing day in, day out, and nothing is going to change. I would prefer someone like a Brendan Gale to come in. I reckon he would be an astute choice. Yep. But I wouldn't mind seeing somebody from outside who is very business savvy just to take and have a look at it and not just sugarcoat stuff and paint over the cracks with certain things. Like the AFL have an issue of they'll address something, but they've got a great way of just diverting you from the truth and moving it over to another area as well too. And that we don't want someone from the boys' club to be taking it over. That's my humble opinion. And I've said it before, if you've read Mick Warner's book, The Boys' Club, I know probably a lot of you have, and if you haven't, do so. It goes into the whole boys' club aspect of the AFL. And if one of those group comes to take it over, nothing will change. And we're just going to have the same issues and so forth. And I don't think that's for the game.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, like a lot of businesses and whatnot don't take on, these change managers or these big, disruptors to businesses to redo everything, because the AFL we're still talking about $1 billion business.
Yep.
And they want to keep it safe. So I understand the internal hiring process because they know the processes and it's a safe business decision. But I also agree, like the NRL are great. They bring in external people from outside into Clubland and make them those sort of people like that. Like the Peggy O'Neills come from here, joined Clubland, and then ran the joint and did it magnificently.
Yep.
I'm not opposed to that idea. I just don't know if the AFL are in a position where they would take such a risk on coming out of 2020, 2021. But I would like to think the AFL could have someone fresh look at it, or maybe even distribute the role a little bit more, maybe break it out a little bit.
I think we do. Now, it's interesting. We love our outlaws, our lace outlaws, the community, just the superstars that join in every week. But in all respect, and there's something. I don't think we make good recruiters. Just with some of the suggestions that have come off, let's just go through a couple of them. Charlie Keegan's thrown out. Let's make James Hird the next CEO. Mm-hmm. And he's gone with Hird again. Brendan Gale's come up. Nick has even mentioned, Nick from the Portraits has even reckoned that I should go for CEO. Listen, if you want the game in the bin, I'm the man to do that.
I mean, the finances and the admin will be solid.
No, but the after parties will be fantastic, and the attention to detail will be not there at all. I think it's going to be interesting to sort of see who they go for, how they're going to do it.
Well, they're recruiting straight away. They're starting right away, Peps.
Do they take a risk or do they take the comfortable route? I think they're going to take option B, and it's not going to be a popular choice.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a popular choice. Hey, Buzz is back. St Kilda must be winning. Buzz is back, and he's saying that Gill was pushed out. So I might have to get him to elaborate on that a little bit. I'm not too sure he's getting his inside information from old Buzz, but I know his Saints are very, very excited at the moment. And we do have something to talk about the tribunal as well too. So just stay tuned for that. We are going to be going into it. All right, J-Dog, there was a grand final apparently on the weekend. Didn't hear much about it.
Do you want to do the grand
kidding me?
final, or
That's
do you want to go
awesome.
the AFLW award winners? Because last week it was on whilst we were doing our show, so we didn't talk about who actually won the
Oh, let's do the awards and let's finish off
best
with
and
the
fairest.
beautiful grand final victory. Go for
No
it.
worries. All right, so Brisbane Lions Emily Bates was announced the 2022 AFL Best and Fairest at the W Awards held last Tuesday. The 26-year-old finished the count with 21 votes ahead of Adelaide Crow midfielder Anne Hatchard, who we'll talk about in about a minute or two, on 20 votes, and Ebony Marinoff had 18 votes. So well done to Emily Bates, and probably the highlight of the night was the shoey.
Oh, only a Batesy and Shuey. Oh, Stash. What a Stash. Good on him.
So yeah, absolutely amazing. An amazing season capped off for Bates, where she also earned her third All Australian and was also voted the AFL Coaches Association Champion of the Year as well. So
And can I also say this? How amazing, how stunning did the girls look at the AFLW awards?
they do it better.
They just do it better. I just throw it
Black
out there.
tie, all of that, it's gone, and they just go for it.
But do you reckon the guys should have the opportunity to be dressed the way that they want to dress, or
Why
should
not?
it be black tie for the Brownlow? Because they were able to do that many years ago, and then you're going to have blokes rocking up with no socks,
White suits.
white suit. Nah, I just think black tie. You can make black tie look as amazing as you like. Okay,
I'm not against it,
Uh,
Peps.
no. Can this society have a little bit of class, please? We need some class. All right.
As the NFL and the NBA players, they all look pretty good
Shit.
to me. They look pretty good to me. They look pretty
Maybe
cool.
they look shithouse. Have you seen the way that they dress up? They take the piss out of themselves.
No, I like it. I like it.
No class. Absolutely no class.
Come on,
Or what?
Peps.
They want to wear no socks to an event.
Don't
Shame.
hate sockless shoes.
Sock. Yeah. Do you ever turn up to a job interview with no socks?
No?
You're a wanker.
All
All
right.
right.
Weddings though with no socks.
Yeah, well,
All right, let's talk about the AFLW Grand Final.
Yep.
All right, Adelaide. I think they are the best of the best. They are the best team in the AFLW. They've won now 3 out of 5 AFLW Grand Finals.
there's been 6 premiers though, but one of them they didn't play a grand final for because that was just who ended up on top of the ladder. I think that was year before.
Yeah, year before. Yep. So Adelaide have firmly cemented their claim as the first dynasty in the NAB AFLW competition, defeating Melbourne by 13 points to win its third premiership. And as they say in the classics, it was 29-16 result at the Adelaide Oval. But the game was a game of two halves, Peps, as the old commentators say.
Bloody hell, it was a shootout.
Oh, okay. Let's not
Shootout.
let Peps.
My neck was sore from just the way the ball was zipping and zagging up and down the field.
I knew you would say this, Peps. I knew you'd go down that route. I'm not going to let you derail this.
No, I will say, J-Dog, I did watch some of the game, and I can tell you now, the skill. Look, it's not going to be as exciting or as viewer friendly as the men's game. Let's be honest, all right?
Yep.
It's just the way it is, and I think that's with any sport. But I will say this. If you go back even as far as maybe 3 years ago and look at the skill level and the way it's played now compared to what it was, the growth is exponential.
Yep.
There's over 600,000 women playing the game now. Clubs are going bonkers with women's teams. It is just growing, and it is in its minutia at the moment. And it is going to explode. Every club will have a women's team by the end of the year. All right. In your case, 2 women's teams at Port Adelaide, and probably Essendon will have 2 women's teams as well. But the point I'm trying to make is that the game is getting better. We've just got to let it breathe, and we've got to let it mature. Yes, don't try and compare it to the men's game. It'll never replace it, okay? But just like I said, the quality of the games, the quality of the experience now. Like even my daughter was watching it and going, I wouldn't mind going to a game. She's never said that before. So it's even capturing that market. And that's what's exciting about it.
The biggest thing for me, and you can tell straight away, is now they actually hit the targets. Like when they're kicking, they're actually hitting targets now, where before it just wasn't like that. Yes, the scores aren't there at the moment, but they're hitting targets, which is probably something if you watch the game 3-4 years ago, they'd just be running to grass and missing handballs and kicking crazy. So that's a big jump. All right,
and they're footballers coming from a football background. They're not
correct.
netballers or soccer players or bocce players
Or
or
just big girls who can kick a ball and hit people.
exactly or I don't know, cornhole throwers. You know, all those type of sports around the world. Just bring them in because we think no. There's proper development, foundations there, and it is an exciting time for the women's game and potentially starting around about August this year. I think they're going to try and see how it works in with the collective bargaining agreement. So it'll sort of tease off at the end of the men's season. It'd be great to get some double headers in, female games into the male games towards the end of the season. That would be awesome. Could you imagine those girls playing in front of 40, 50, 60 people if they were at a Port Adelaide game? Anyone else, thousands of people.
So basically, Adelaide had the game on their boot in the first half, basically, and just didn't capitalise on the scoreboard. Melbourne got within 7 points in the fourth quarter, but Danielle Ponta basically streaked away on the wing and sealed the goal for Adelaide to win the grand final. But Anne Hatchard, once again, wrapping up a super week for her, was awarded the Best on Ground medal. She recorded 25 disposals, 9 marks, 6 tackles, 5 clearances, and Pep's favourite stat, 568 metres gained. She won on the count with 14 out of the possible 15 votes. So she absolutely romped it in ahead of Ebony Marinoff and Danielle Ponta. Now, the crowd was actually pretty good at the Adelaide Oval. I think the tickets were $10 each or about around that mark.
Yep.
Not very expensive. 16,712.
Fantastic. I don't think it was a full day release program in Adelaide that weekend, so maybe the crowd would have been bigger if it was a full day release for the Port Adelaide and Adelaide community.
Yeah.
But great. It's a great crowd, and it looked great. Played on a big ground. Awesome. You can't fault it. They're doing amazing things with the AFLW. So that's another season. Season 7 will be coming out. Hey, I'll put it this way: it's probably more exciting than the Big Bash at the moment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's it. All right, J-Dog.
The final one. Do you want me to talk about this one, and you can just go off after this?
Yeah, I would love you to start this one because this is really it's grinding the gears. There are lots of people on the chat because the chat is going off nuts at the moment.
All right, so
and it's making my blood boil to the
point. The bump versus the brace. When there is no difference except for the outcome. So St Kilda, if you haven't, but caught up with the news and you're watching us because that's where you get your news from, St Kilda has failed to overturn Paddy Ryder's two-match bump or two-match ban for his bump on Will Day at the AFL Tribunal. The Saints representative Jack Rush attempted to argue Ryder's bump was one of medium impact rather than high, despite Day being concussed as a result of the incident. After a lengthy period of submissions and deliberations, the tribunal elected to uphold the match review officer's decision. The Saints attempted to reference Tim English's hit on Nick Blakey in round 3, which did not result in a suspension and was deemed not unreasonable in the circumstances. So, Peps, we've got two incidents that look almost like for like. One ended a concussion, one not. Go for it. Because you always talk about the outcome, and I want to just know what you want
to... Okay. First and foremost, the one thing that I hear a lot of at the moment is the game has gone soft.
Buckley said it.
The game is not soft. The only people who say the game is soft is the people who have never played the game. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Football is a hard game to play. Physically, mentally, and also on families as well too, especially if you've been concussed quite a number of times. So I'm raising my hand with that one. What is giving me the absolute shits at the moment is the fact that it is just blanket. It's either one way or it's nothing at all. There is no grey room and there's no room for common sense. Before we even go into why I'm saying this is I decided to look up the Oxford Dictionary just to get the definitions of the two words that we're talking about, bump and brace. Bump, definition of bump, is to knock or run into someone or something with a jolt. Brace. Tense the muscles in a part of one's body in order to stay stiffly in a certain position. Take that as you like. Now, with Tim English and Nick Blakey, that was classified as a race. Ryder versus Day was classified as a bump. I want to throw another one in there. Willie Rioli, who almost decapitated Matt Rowell, was defined as a football act. If I look at all three of those put side by side, the one who got the 2 weeks, Paddy Ryder, was actually the least worst defining of the word bump. Because if you look at him, he actually tensed the muscles in order to stay stiff in a certain position. He actually tried to stop where the other two had not. So what has caused this? It has been the outcome that has caused the 2 weeks. Nothing more, nothing less. It also comes down to, I've got to remember the name, the St Kilda bloke who got his jaw broken last year. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Got his jaw broken got off again with that one as is. It is a disgrace that a guy like Paddy Ryder, and even my wife watched it tonight and said, he's just trying to brace because the guy's coming at him. You cannot factor in such as Hunter Clark. Thanks, Joey and Buzz were the ones that said this. So you cannot say that Paddy Ryder being what? And someone said because he was 120 kilos and 190 centimetres compared to a guy who's probably 30 kilos lighter. That's part of the game. And if you ran into a brick wall, I'm sorry, he was ball watching to a degree.
They look like me, actually. I'd crumple like that.
It'd be like if you ran into me, all right? I would destroy you, okay? We would have to call your next of kin if you ran into me, J-Dog. But it was just frustrating that it was the concussion that has led to this. If you have a look at Blakey, he went down as well, but because he got up, there was no... And so the action, to a degree, has not been what's being looked at here. It's the outcome. And because the outcome wasn't bad, that's classified as a bump or a brace.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other one has come out with a concussion, we're calling that one a bump. And it's not right. The game does not work like that, okay? I also looked up the word in the AFL. Hold on, Jamie, before you interrupt. I also looked up the word consistency in the dictionary, and that is the definition of constant behaviour. The only constant behaviour or consistency that the AFL brings into this is continually trying to work along the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing time and time and time and time again and expecting a different result. I am completely stumped. I have no faith in the AFL judicial system anymore. It is a disgrace. The MRO, it is a disgrace. You know I go on about this all the time, but it's decisions like this that is going to cost a team who is playing some cracking footy, and I'm going to go into that very shortly about how well they're tracking. It's going to derail them for a couple of weeks for a very, very, very similar accident that a guy got nothing for, and a lot better than a guy who jumped into someone and had nothing for it. So if I was St Kilda right now, I'd be bloody pissed off if I was you guys. And I can understand, I can see that's the hate and the frustration coming through on the chat right now. And I can smell the burning in your ears as you're listening to this right now.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on it.
Oh, you're always a fence sitter.
No, I am, because Day had kicked the ball, the ball had been released already, and Ryder got him after and split him in the middle.
Jamie, what was the time difference between? And don't slow it down. This is the thing.
I literally just watched the clip. How
long did he have? How long did he have between the kick being made?
A good second or two. I'm not happy with its 2 weeks. That's a bit crazy. But it's also he's hit him after the kick.
All right,
it wasn't like he was just like watching the ball like this and then ran into him. Like he actually kicked the ball, released it, and then Ryder still decided to bump him.
He kept running straight. He ran into him. Who was doing the movement?
Ryder.
Are you serious?
Ryder hit him. Day had kicked the ball and released it.
Jamie,
watch it again, Peps.
I've watched it that many times.
I'm not against it. I'm not against.
Okay, so here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that annoys me more than anything. All right. Nobody actually comes out and says, no one ever asks the question, okay, so if he couldn't do that, what else could he have done? So tell me what else he could have done. And be careful with your answers because I reckon they're going to be stupid.
Don't bump.
Jamie, what else could he do?
What else could he do? He had like a second or two to not go for the bump.
He didn't have a second or two. But what else could he do? All right, so if he can't bump, what else can he do? Just I want you to explain.
Stand front on. Do this. Push off the chest.
Are you serious? You got a guy running at you and you're going to stand like that? What, you don't want your fingers broken? You're allowed to protect yourself as well. It's not just about the other person.
Absolutely. But he's still hit him late. And I do agree on there. There is a 50 metre there. There is something there to it, and he still bumped him.
He didn't even hit him in the head.
That's
the thing that frustrates me even more.
I can see how they've made that decision, Peps. I can see it because they always say if you choose to bump, you take on the risk.
Jamie, would you say it was a bump or a brace, the action, based on the Oxford language that I just read out to you a moment ago?
I would say it looked like a bump to me.
Okay. I think we're going to disagree with this, but I can tell you now, I'm looking at the chats coming through at the moment, and everybody is saying that you're wrong. That's okay. Hey, we respect your opinion. We just don't agree with it. But you haven't answered my question. Answered my question. What else could you do? What else could you do?
I told you, you don't bump. You don't bump, you don't get suspended.
Okay, but Jamie, you've got to give me an action.
I told you.
What?
Square up. Hand up.
You cannot stand up. You're allowed to protect. Okay, what else? What else?
What do you mean?
So that's all he could do. That's all he could do.
Why can't he do that?
Okay, he can't tackle the bloke because that's a free kick. He couldn't move out of the way because it was too close, so he couldn't get out of the way. I don't understand what other options he had. This is the thing. What other options did he have? And nobody comes out and says what he could have done. And that's what pisses me off more than anything about this whole thing.
But the thing is, you choose to bump, even if you're bracing or bumping, but he bumped, he elbow in, tucked it in. You choose to bump, there are consequences if the player gets concussed. We know this, Peps. It's not even like it's a brand new rule they've made up. It's like 5-6 years old now, this rule.
Okay, so...
Which is outcome-based as you get annoyed about.
Now, so if you said if everything was outcome-based, that you'd be happy with that. If everything was outcome-based, you would be happy with that.
That's what it has been for so long.
So you're saying yes?
Yes.
So if a guy goes up for a mark and he's an opponent in the back of the head and he goes off with concussion?
What is the rule? If you
I'm asking you the question.
You choose to bump.
But you said a moment ago and you agreed it's outcome driven. You can't have one for one and one for the other.
From a bump.
See, now you're giving it a bit of well, it's only for this.
I've never changed. If you choose to bump, that unfortunately are the consequences if the person gets knocked out. You know you're going to be up for it.
Yeah,
it hasn't changed.
We're going to be up for this all night, and this episode will go to 4 a.m. if we don't move on to the next section. But I think it's just one of those things that I think a lot of people are going to be really peeved with this. I can understand why they're trying to stamp it out. But that action would happen 30 times during a game, and nothing ever gets caught up. And that's what pisses me off, is that the action happens all the time and nothing ever happens.
I don't disagree with you saying there, Peps, but the difference is the player's not getting concussed from it.
You got to outlaw the whole. You just have to outlaw it. Just say you can't bump anymore. Just say you can't bump anymore. Make a blanket. You can't bump. Just say it. All right. Let's move on to something else. Hey, can we talk about some good stuff for the moment? I think it's time to get.
Sure.
Can we get this bloke on? Can we get him on? Let's do it.
Bring him on.
Yeah, let's get a bit of
3 votes.
All right, let's talk about some 3 votes. Jeez, that got heated. See, you're not going to get that on AFL 360 with the co-hosts wanting to punch on with each other. You're not going to get Robbo and Gerard having a crack at that. No way, mate. This is the podcast that you're going to listen to. Don't worry about all those fluffy ones. We're the boys who will give you the real opinion. Hey, first and foremost, I mentioned it at the start of the episode. How good is footy at the moment? Like, seriously, some of the results from the weekend were just sensational. Can I just say, what about the sunshine over the Blues on the weekend? Like I said, the dynasty is over. That 3-game dynasty, premiership tickets are already being sold as we speak. Membership cards were being microwaved. There were no burnouts on Saturday. Unfortunately, when the Ferrari won, that sort of fixed it up.
It was
but
pretty dreary, wasn't it, when the Suns were beating them?
Facebook got back to it. I even had one of my guys saying that he's actually been instructed by Facebook that he'd been banned for a week, and thus there'd been no Carlton comments for this week.
Hey, Peps.
Yep.
Do you want to get fired up again?
Okay.
Do you want to talk about the Cats Brisbane Lions decision again?
Can we go? Oh, J-Dog. I'm going to give it that moment, right? That's in the bad stuff. What about the West Coast? What about the West Coast team beating Collingwood? Oh, that was sensational just to see that.
Yeah.
Adelaide was. Essendon, what a cracker of a game.
Bastards Essendon. Because if Essendon didn't win, we would have been equal with them on the bottom of the ladder. Bastards.
Do you know I feel for Adelaide? Have you seen some of their losses? They've had something like a 1-point loss. I think it was a 4-point loss and a 4-point loss. They could be sitting 3-1 at the moment. They've got some pretty good kids. They're not as bad as what we thought they would be as well too. And you've got to give respect to North Melbourne's much improved performance against Sydney. If you weren't at home cheering, go North, that would have been after what they served up the week before. But I will say it, when the time comes and the class needs to rise, just like J-Dog and Isaac Heaney, did he just bring it up when it was needed? Absolutely sensational. Now, I will throw this just because of the performance that they did on the weekend. All right. We'll give them a bit of love because they haven't had much for the last few weeks. Kangaroos. Oh, gotta love the Kangaroos. Yeah, they were so much better than the week before as well too. So just seeing teams who, and that's what I'm loving. It's like, you know, I know we've spoken about this quite a number of times, but the drive to survive a series on Netflix, and that's reinvigorated a little bit of my, I wouldn't say passion, but just my enthusiasm into Formula One. And it's not about the top teams; it's all the middle teams. That's what's getting me a little bit excited. And this is a little bit like this at the moment. These teams aren't the ones that are dominating, but there's just those little nuances and those little ebbs and flows between the teams between maybe 6 to 16.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that sort of happening at the moment. So it's really good. Anyone on any day is what we're looking for as well too. So, hey, J-Dog, who's going to cop a bit of this?
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weakest piss.
Who's getting dragged?
Oh, first off, Peps, got the umpiring again. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to go down the Maxi? No, we've got to have a bit of Melbourne laugh at because they've been so good for the past 4 weeks. Max gone. What's going on there? Just decided to kick the ball away from the goals.
Shawnee, just know your limitations, big fella. All right? Save it for prelims. Don't go doing silly things like that. It was...
opposite foot. It
was opposite foot. He actually kicked a chanana, a check side banana, they were calling it, a chanana on the Foxtel broadcast. When the big ruckman... We know ruckman are big and dopey. But when the ruckman's actually running to the next contest with a smile on his face laughing and everybody else has pissed themselves watching that, you know footy's in a good spot. So we thought he had it, and then I was watching it with Big Trev and we both almost fell off the couch, cacking ourselves. Just got to know, Maxie, you can only stop them from 55 out on the run.
Yeah.
Stick to doing that.
Or taking pack marks with 4 guys hanging off you.
Oh, exactly. Or just putting it down Oliver's throat every week. The umpiring and the MRP, they just make me feel dumber every week. I've mentioned it already based on what the tribunal has done, but geez, the umpiring decisions, I can't keep up. And some of the explanations they gave, like the Brisbane-Geelong game that we spoke about a moment ago.
Brisbane getting the raw end of the stick with the umpires at Geelong?
I just think they're... I actually don't even know what they're thinking. Like, even if you made them professional, what are they going to do? Watch more vision?
And what about the SEN stat today? Bulldogs are plus 40 on free kick counts already.
Already. We've played that. They get 10 free kicks more. It's all the ducking that Cody Waitman does. That's what it is. It's all that ducking. Yeah, those decisions that they were throwing, and the one against Harris Andrews with Tom Hawkins, where the umpire said you were both having forward momentum, but Hawkins was just holding his position. It doesn't even make any sense. Like when we were growing up, and anybody remembers this, the way you used to have to do it is you brace yourself. You couldn't use the hands; you had to use the forearm to brace. Just stick to that. Don't try and change it.
Yeah.
But it's once again, what's hands in the back? What's not hands in the back? What's a bump? What's a brace? Was he bumping with his hands or bracing with his hands, JB?
Well, if Tom Hawkins can do it, why can't Paddy Ryder do it?
Because.
All right. So the doggies goal kicking woes are 28.48 this season, 17.43.
48. But they've kicked 17.43 in the last 3 rounds.
Correct. So they are going out at what's that? One in every.
Well, it's almost 1 in 3.
1 in every 3, yeah.
17.43
in the last 3 rounds. So almost 1 in 3.
Yeah. Now, if you look at their scores, they would have beaten Carlton if they'd kicked straight.
Mm-hmm.
They probably would have beaten Richmond if they'd kicked straight. And they would have been sitting nicely in the 8.
Yep. Yeah, 3-1. Yep.
Whether they don't do enough of it, I've got no idea.
I don't know. Port are terrible at the season as well, so I can't talk much about that.
Port are terrible, full stop. They've kicked 17 goals at least. You didn't even kick one before half time.
Hey, but all we have to care about is Motlop kicking 2 junk time goals.
Oh, yeah, made that score respectable, didn't it?
That's right.
Hey, we're going to burn through a few of these. Rising Star, J-Dog. Rising Star for round 4. Tell us about this guy because he is electric.
Yep. Josh Rochelle, round 4 NAB Rising Star. During the clash with Essendon at Marvel Stadium on Sunday, Rochelle was superb, booting 3 goals, 9 marks, and picking up 19 classy touches for the Crows. Rochelle was drafted to Adelaide by the number 6 pick last year and has burst onto the scene in 2022 and is unlucky not to have already received a NAB Rising nom already, but good things come to those who wait, and Rochelle is an absolute class, and I am extremely jealous of him and Adelaide's pick because our young kids, our 3, are all not playing well at the moment.
It's all gone backwards. Mm-hmm. And it all started when they picked on Max Gawn, round 1, 2019. All right. It's time for this, J-Dog.
Here comes the money.
Money talks.
Here comes the money.
Money, money. Bling, bling, chicken wing. Here it comes. Yeah, all righty. Contract time. Hey, big contract being announced this week, everybody. Darcy Moore, 6 more years on plenty of pineapple. That's plenty of Peter McKenna.
Would you sign a halfback at 6 years on big money?
Not one that looks like Kieran Knightley. No.
And Darcy Moore? I don't know. I don't see it. But then I didn't see the May. I didn't see the Lever deals as well.
I don't judge. What's that, sorry?
I didn't see the May and the Lever deal as well when you guys signed up for big money. I didn't see it, but it's obviously worked a treat for you guys.
Well, it hasn't. It still will work a long time, but that's just only one. Now, the thing is that he's a good player. Yes, he's probably their best player outside of Pendlebury, who I just learned. Maya was talking to me that I didn't know that he had a basketball background. Did you, J-Dog?
I didn't. Anyway, is he really?
Yeah, first I've known about it. But Jordan De Goey, Jamie Elliott still have to sign for the Pies. They're going to have to try and squeeze this money in. When you've got Grundy taking the cash, you got Darcy Moore taking the cash. You've also got Treloar taking the cash. Pendlebury wouldn't be on that as well too.
Are you looking at the notes right now?
Yep. And also just looking here that Luke Jackson has rejected a Port Adelaide offer of 10 years at $1.1 million a season. And the reasoning is he wants to play at a ground with actual supporters, not tarps, and he doesn't want to be paid in food stamps or episodes of Koshy's Business Builders.
Not true. I'll happily we'll talk a trade after the show, Peps, about what it will take to get Luke Jackson to Port Adelaide.
You've got nothing that we could have. Nothing. Alrighty. Hey,
Sam Hayes. Yes.
All right, Sam Hayes. So, awesome. Once again, when the contracts come out, we'll let you know as well too. Can I just really, I really want to whip into something in the last sort of bit of this, and I was hoping to spend some more time on it. I really just want to express my love for St Kilda and Fremantle and what they're doing at the moment. The Saints at the moment, the last 3 weeks have been sensational. If you remember round one, it was an absolute travesty. But at the moment, they're sitting at number 1 for points per game, number 2 in disposals, number 2 for kicks, number 3 for goal assists, and 3rd for least opponent clearances as well too. So that means they're working for the ball, but also working back to stop the defence as well. Max King, he's been doing it after half time. Is it junk time? Or is he just doing what he needs to do? But he is been brilliant in the last couple of weeks as well too. Gresham's been fantastic. They're led by Jack Steele. They've got lots of good things sitting at that club, and hopefully if they can get some of those old-timers back playing again, Jones, Hanbury, you never know. It's still early in the season. Many things could happen, but they've got quite a favourable draw. And I also want to mention Fremantle as well too. What they've been serving up, a number of people were expecting a bit of improvement from this mob, but they have been absolutely, once again, sensational. It's all about the opposition. They're 4th for tackles. They're 1st for least scoring involvements for the opposition. They're 1st for the difference in score involvements. They're 3rd for intercepts. They're 2nd for 1%ers. They're 1st for least opponent score attempts. They're risking it for the biscuit. It's all about suppressing and then scoring as well too. And just to think, Nat Fyfe, he doesn't have to be the player that he once was to step in and take over from that mob anymore, because right. Andrew Brayshaw has done that. The gap that they thought Chera was there. They don't have to worry about that. They've also got this bloke, Lockie Schultz, a little fella, just sitting down in the forward line doing his thing. Tabernar's doing his thing. Rory Lobb, who wanted to leave, he's actually playing some great footy as well too. They picked up the steal of the year, Will Brodie. They picked him up from Gold Coast. Set of clearances, he's leading it for the club. Stoppage clearances, he's leading it for the club. He is he's having a cracker. Hayden Young's developing. Mate, they've got that. David Mundy's going to play till he's 88. He's not going to stop. They're just playing some cracking football as well too. So I'm really excited about that. And one last thing I wanted to talk about really quickly, J-Dog, is the stat that is changing the way the game is being played right now. And there's one skill that teams are doing less, and it's making a massive difference to the way that they're playing. Do you know what that skill might be?
Bumping.
No.
No, what is it, Peps?
Marking.
Teams are marking less.
Marking less. Let me put this in perspective. Would you say Geelong's probably playing a better form of football this year?
Yeah, they're looking faster.
Okay, in 2021, they averaged 97 marks a game.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're only averaging 83. Would you say that the Magpies are playing a better form of footy?
Looks a bit better, yes.
They averaged 102 marks a game. They're now down to 82 marks a game. Would you say the Gold Coast Suns are playing, mind you, they've got bigger bodies now, but do you reckon they're playing a bit more freestyle type of game?
Yep.
They were averaging 100 marks. They're now down to 72 marks. So this whole kick, chip possession game, which a lot of these teams have played with for so many years, they've almost pushed it to the wayside and said, you know what, we're just going to go run and gun.
Go forward, yeah.
We're going to go forward. And it's working for them. They're playing much better football. Even North Melbourne, they've tried it a little bit. They're just not at that level, but they've gone from 99 to 89. And even somebody like the Crows as well, too. The Crows are only averaging 85. Now, if you went back to the year before, it's a lot higher than that as well, too. So it's just good to see clubs not going to chip. They're willing to take the risk, bring it to ground, and then swoop onto it as well, too. So it is football's in a good spot. We just a little bit more scoring, and we'd be all right. All right, big boy. Hey, the listener question of the week was an absolute belter. It went off like a bride's night.
Good to see what people are doing, yeah.
Tell us about it, stud.
All right, so the question was, what rule would you steal from another sport to make AFL great? We had some great ones on here. Josh Weymouth, NBA playoffs in game. Give Essendon an extra chance to win a final. They won't, though. We had Benjamin Short from MLB. The designated hitter becomes a designated kicker. Each team can pick one player from their 22, usually a forward, and whenever that player is taking a set shot, they can call the designated kicker to come on and take the kick for them.
Who would Port Adelaide get, Jamie?
Dan Houston. He is the Mr. Fix-It man at the moment.
Who would the Doggies get?
Cody Waitman. Ice veins.
Ice veins. Oh, mate, he's melted.
Justin Calvert, safety, 2 points if tackled or pressured over goal line.
I don't mind that one. I reckon if you rush her behind, it should be worth 2.
So give him an extra. Okay, it's an extra point, right? I was reading there thinking, is that like a pressure point, like a Steven Seagal pressure point, Brendan Favola thing again? I don't know what was going on there.
Pressure point. No,
I don't mind it though. Rush behinds, get an extra point on top.
I don't mind that.
Robbie Smith, a mulligan. I'd like that just come back and have another go, mate. Max Gorn could have used that the other night. That would have been good for him.
You could have used the whole game, Jamie.
Nah, don't worry about that.
Is it mulligan one game or one? What?
One stroke.
Yeah, but how would you do it in footy? Like,
just do it again. Take out the kick. Lee Moss, Polo Rule 28E. No left-handed polo players. Well, I would be absolutely stuffed. And number 2, ice hockey unwritten rule. Fight till you drop.
I like that too.
It's not a bad one.
I like that one.
And Rowan Meetings has jumped in. Hockey fighting rules. I like this one from David Tigani. Sin bin.
I don't mind the sin bin.
Put him in the sin bin.
I would have put.
Ryder could have gone in the sin bin.
Yeah, I would have put North in the entire team in the sin bin.
Where Port
last week.
And this has been one that's been floated for a long time by a long-time listener. Jazz has said not kicking backwards. That has been floated for a long time now.
Yeah, I don't see it. The only way that you could police that was no kicking backwards. Teams would just flood forward.
Yeah. But it would maybe work, Peps, if your stat you just rolled out there, with teams kicking forward as opposed to kicking back and chipping around.
Once again, the game is a 360-degree game. You've got to allow people to play that. Now, if players are not going to man up those loosies, too bad, too sad. That's the way I look at it.
So, yeah, good suggestions, everyone.
Yeah, cracking suggestions. I think that they should, if you tackle someone, and you should be able to go to submission. So if they tap out, then they have to leave the ground until the end of the quarter.
So say that again.
So if I get you in a tackle,
yep,
and then I can get you into like a submission move.
You pin me.
You've got to get off the ground for the rest of the quarter. Although I reckon that's good.
Bring in some UFC, some arm bars.
Yeah.
That's a crack up. We'll get Grace Jones down there to start doing some AFL preseason jiu-jitsu.
Who? Grace Jones?
Is it Gracie Jones or what's the brothers? The jiu-jitsu guys?
Gracies.
The Gracies.
Grace Jones.
I don't know. Who's Grace Jones in?
It was the big black girl from A View to a Kill in the James Bond movies.
Oh, with the shaved head girl.
The shaved head.
Is that Grace Jones? I didn't know who Grace Jones was. There we go.
We're going the Ricks and Gracie. No, we're going Grace Jones.
Shows how much I care about that stuff.
Oh, you're an absolute stud.
All right.
Actually, one that's come in on the chat. If the ball hits the goals and goes through, it should be a goal. I don't mind that one either.
Oh yeah, bounce off the post, perfect.
No need for that stupid camera.
Or the stupid snicker meter.
Oh, snick on. God. Hey, question for this week, J-Dog. What do you got for us?
I'm going to have to make up something at the end of the show. I don't know. I've got nothing off the top of my head right now unless you've got one off the top of your head. I'll have to make it up.
I do have a question. If you could remove one position from an AFL ground, what would it be?
Off as in like a player, I mean a position
no
of
full
the team.
Forwards. No full forwards. No.
Oh, you mean like a line of positions.
So you have no ruckman. Get rid of ruckman. We don't need them. Or
what about 2 forwards, but not 3 forwards.
Maybe. What's a radical rule change you would make to the AFL? There you go. Isn't that the same as last week's question?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe we'll just wait until after the show and Jamie will give us one. All right. Check the Facebook page. All right. I mentioned at the start of the episode, we have got a competition. So what we're going to be for the next month, what we're going to be giving you, listeners, viewers, is a chance to win a brand spanking AFL 2022 release footy jumper of your choosing. Okay, so obviously just normal club colours, no limited editions. We do have a budget. But what I'm trying to say is that if you want to win yourself a brand new AFL jumper, I will be leaving a link in the show notes for you to be able to enter that. And more importantly, I will be drawing that out in a few weeks' time. So get involved. The more times you enter, bonus entries if you get part of it as well too. That's on behalf of Lace Out, because it's not just how you want your footy, it's how you win your footy jumpers.
I like it.
I like it. All right, so we're going to be giving that away as well.
Can I get prison bars?
You can get prison bars, J-Dog. You can
Thanks.
get prison bars.
Thanks. Can I enter?
Yeah.
Can I enter?
You can enter. You can enter. I was going to open it up to only Australian residents, but Craig, Mr. Wessels, I know who you are. I will cover your shipping costs if your name gets drawn out.
Oh, what a nice guy.
Which you probably won't, just because it's going to cost me too much to send over. Okay. Right, yeah. Hey, J-Dog, what a cracker of an episode. We've gone over longer than we've normally. Bucket loads of stuff. A cracking week. Round 5 this week. Is there a game that you're looking forward to on the fixture for this week?
Let's have a quick look. I haven't actually seen the fixture this week.
It's 1 week at a time.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wasn't looking. Yeah, let's have a look at the games. Any peps for you?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Fremantle Carlton.
Ooh, okay.
That's going to be at Dockers Stadium. That'll be one. Actually, that's the wrong week.
Yeah. What about?
Actually, St Kilda Suns. I don't know what that. If it goes the way we think it's going to go, could be a. Hey, Suns did it last week. They could do it this week, but it's on the home deck.
I'm not against the North and Western Bulldogs game.
What about Monday? Hawks versus Cats. That's always a belter.
Oh, it's Easter.
Easter Monday belt. So, hey, everybody, have a cracking Easter from the two of us, or from me and obviously J-Dog. Be safe over this time. Enjoy the time with the family. Like, this is what it's all about. It's being there for your friends, your family.
Oh, no, got my question.
What is it?
It's not even football related. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
It's Easter related, Peps.
Okay.
Are you a block of chocolate man or are you an egg man come Easter?
Okay. Good question. So, chocolates or... All right. I like it, J-Dog. All right, friends and family, stay tuned for Tipped Out. We didn't have it last week, some technical issues, but we'll be back. I will be back with Tipped Out for the upcoming week, so stay tuned for that. But more importantly, J-Dog, it's the question that we finish every single week off. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Subscribe, leave us a review. More importantly, tell your friends about us because we're awesome. Jamie Wallis from the Lace Out Podcast, the greatest co-host with the most. How do you want your footy?
My footy Lace Out, Peps.
Have a great week, listeners. Have a cracking Easter, and we'll see you this time next week.
See you later, listeners.